Anyway, it is now time to go back to TCR, the touring car racing. Perfect track for them here in Hungary, and the cars are now getting ready for the race itself. So the starting grid for this race number 2 is based on yesterday's race results, but here's the trick. Between 6 and 10 positions get reversed on the starting grid, and what number between 6 and 10 it is decided by a draw, and the honor of the draw is always given to race 1 winner. So it was yesterday's winner Bartosz Groszek, who after the podium ceremony was also presented with a cup with little pieces of paper in it, and it was his task to draw a number. Of course, for him, it would have been the best to draw the number 6 out of the cup, but his face when he drew the number was absolutely priceless. Immediately, everybody could read from that the number that he'd selected accidentally was number 10, which means that he is going to fall down the grid as far as he possibly can within the regulations. So 10 positions get reversed from from yesterday's results, and that means that yesterday's pole sitter and race 1 winner Bartosz Groszek is only going to start in 10th place here in Hungary at this 4,381 meter long track. But it also means that yesterday's 10th placed finisher is going to be promoted to pole position, and incidentally it is actually Bartosz's not only teammate but also team boss Radim Adamek, who was 10th yesterday, which means that he will start from pole today. And if you like conspiracies, there's one right there for you. So maybe that was always going to end up like that, or maybe the cup was just full of numbers 10, who knows. Anyway, it's a funny story, and Bartosz Groszek will start 10th and Radim Adamek on pole. The cars are now getting either on the starting grid, or if they want and still have time, which they do, they can return back to the pit lane, go through and just make one more preparation lap to make sure that everything works on their cars, that the tires are ready, that pretty much everything is as it should be. Hungaroring opens the 22 calendar at the beginning of April. In 2 months' time, we are going to Austria, to Red Bull Ring for round number 2. Third round is going to be contested in Poland, in Poznań. Then at the end of July, we're going to Croatia, to Grobnik. And then towards the end of August, Slovakia Ring in Slovakia, of course, just outside Bratislava, or Dunajská Streda, if you will. And then the season finale is going to be contested in the Czech Republic, in Brno, just like in the previous seasons. Petr Semerád, he had a really good race yesterday. Hats off to him for his full season debut with Yannick Motorsport, because Petr Semerád managed to get himself up onto 4th place, having started further down the order. Bartosz Groszek won the race yesterday, but only just from Maťo Homola. Maťo Homola and his teammate Joachim Galáš, they are preparing for the European TCR campaign with their brand new Hyundai Elantras here in Hungary. So they have the cars fresh from the factory, and this weekend basically serves as a test and setup opportunity. Unfortunately, Joachim Galáš, who was second on the grid yesterday, made a pass on Bartosz Groszek into the first corner, took the lead, but then in the second corner got a little nudge from behind, had to correct a spin, and ended up right in the way of Milovan Vesnic, and the resulting crash basically ended the race for both of them. For Joachim Galáš, it ended up with a broken right rear suspension. At least Maťo Homola then could fly the, well, plain white colors of the Yannick Motorsport team this time. He could bring the new car to the second place, and actually briefly through the last corner of the race he even clinched the first place when he attacked Bartosz Groszek around the outside but could not make the move stick. Bartosz Groszek then repassed Matej Homola and took victory just moments after that. So it is Radim Adamek in the colors of Horňák Aditis Racing Team on pole position. Alongside him on the front row, it is Sanel Cehic.
Hello from starting grid, ladies and gentlemen. We are just a few minutes away from the second race this weekend in TCR Eastern Europe. Here with me is Matej Homola, and we will hear his thoughts before the race. Hello, can you tell us how did you prepare for this race and how do you feel?
Yeah, first of all, it's great to be here because it's a good test for us for the TCR Europe, and yeah, we struggled a bit in race one. Still, it was the first race with this car, so we gained some experience and we changed some things, and we will see if it will work. So yeah, first of all, finish the race and enjoy it and try to gather more information about the car.
It is a difficult starting position. What do you expect?
Well, first of all, I need to have a good start, not like yesterday, and yeah, then we will see. Hopefully, it will be all okay.
Okay. Thank you and good luck. Okay, we will just walk towards the driver who will start in front of Homola. That will be Semerad from Czech Republic. Excuse me. Hello, please, can you tell us your expectations from this race?
That's very hard to. It's a very hard question to answer. Hopefully it will be all as smooth as it was yesterday. I hope to have a pretty decent start and just avoid any collisions and just have a clean and fun race.
Yesterday it was very eventful race for you. Many things happened.
Yeah. I was racing the whole time with Sebastian Steibel and the Alphas and then the Renault. So it was a lot of things happening, and I hope this time it could be a little bit less stressful, let's say.
Do you like this track?
Yeah, of course. I love Hungaroring. I loved it ever since I started competing in Formula, and I love it. It's a really nice track, and I hope to be here back soon.
Okay, thank you very much and good luck.
Thank you.
That's all for now from starting grid. The cars are about to start their formation lap, and enjoy the race, of course.
So it is Radim Adamek starting on pole position, and this is Bartosz Groszek all the way down in P10. He is going to have a pretty steep hill to climb. He was fastest yesterday in the rainy qualifying, then fastest in the race, and that means that he started the season in the best way possible. But it's a big question if he can maintain that momentum also for the Sunday program. This is the first row, the two Audis, cars number 38 and 33, Radim Adamek and Sanel Cehic. Behind them in P3, Tomáš Řepecký in his VW Golf GTI. In fourth, Sebastian Steibel in the previous generation of Cupra Leon TCR. Fifth place, that is Petr Čížek. He finished 6th on the road yesterday, having started 14th, so good race for Petr yesterday. Let's see if he can build up on that in Sunday's race. Levente Losonci, also good start, good debut on the TCR scene for the young Hungarian. The local driver in his Alfa Romeo, lining up 6th on the grid right now. Petr Semerad, we heard from him, he's P7, alongside him with the Renault Megane RS. That is Milenko Vukovic. 9th place, Matej Homola, and in P10, Bartosz Groszek, our yesterday's race winner. 11th place, that's this man, Žarko Kněgo, who has moved to the current generation of Cupra, having crashed heavily his previous car, which was the older Cupra, in last season's penultimate round in Slovakia. He had a massive shunt there, and after that he did not appear in the season finale in Brno, but for this year he's back with a new set of wheels to himself. Franjo Kovac in 12th, so joining Kniego on the 6th row of the grid. Václav Janík, he was unlucky yesterday and had to retire his car, so he's 13th today. Karol Wittke had a clash with one of the rivals in yesterday's race and had to retire in the end, having battled somewhere around top 5 positions. So Karol Wittke lining up 14th on the grid, Milovan Vesnic 15th and Joachim Galaš 16th, having made their, well, very unfortunate contact together. However, both of them pretty much ended up having the contact with each other, even though it was a no fault of the two of them. It was just an unfortunate unraveling of the events through the second corner of yesterday's race. There were slight touches which simply ended up in a very unfortunate collision. The weather is a bit nicer than yesterday. Currently we are somewhere up to 9 degrees, so still really cold, but the sun is shining, the skies are predominantly blue, which means that from the feeling point of view at least, it's not that bad. It's warmer, but the track is still really cold. Yesterday it was still wet at places because the whole morning it had been raining rather heavily. Today it should be dry for the entire day. Right now, the cards are set in such a way that we might be expecting a brand new champion, although it is only round 1 of the season. But last year, it was Michal Makeš who emerged victorious. However, as he does not have any car to race with this year, he decided to switch to BMW M2 Cup. Last year's second-placed man, Tomáš Pekář, is back in the Clio Cup for this season, and 2 years ago, the championship was won by Dusan Borkovic, who managed to win all of the races in the season, but that was basically his first season after some harsh penalties from the FIA, having had incidents inside the paddock previously. So he is no longer part of Eastern European TCR after that title, and that means that this year we should be able to see a brand new champion. Who's it going to be? That's a big question, and we have the second race of the weekend now to help us answering that question. Everything's ready, the red lights are on, and we are away here in Hungary. Not a bad start for Radim Adamek from pole. Also Sanel Čehić, but he's having to fight with Tomáš Řepecký immediately. And Sebastian Steibl making a good getaway. And he's moving down the inside. Ooh, the dancing again of Milenko Vukovic. Fortunately, he managed to correct everything. Ooh, there was an incident for yesterday's winner, Bartosz Groszek. His car was also wiggling about there, exiting the first corner, but he continues. Same for Petr Čížek, but he seems to have dropped the place to Petr Semerád. Radim Adamek leading the way from Sebastian Steibl, and Milenko Vukovic already up into third. Řepecký fell down to fourth. Ooh, there's a problem for Sanel Čehić. He has a sideways moment there through the fifth corner, and he's lost the place immediately to Petr Semerád. So for Semerád, this is a great start of the race. Maťo Homola already up into sixth, having also dealt with Čehić. Cehic is dropping down the order really heavily. Vukovic off the track on a short excursion, now dropping 1 or 2 places immediately. Side by side together with Petr Semerád there. Having already lost the place to Tomáš Řepecký and Sebastian Steibl already trying to attack Radim Adamek for the lead of the race. Řepecký now up into the first place. Ooh, that was great. Couple of corners from Tomáš Řepecký, who is now leading the race, having just overtaken both Steibl and Adamek. Vukovic is in the mix, Semerád is in the mix. This is now getting really exciting there. Lots of small mistakes up and down the field. And Řepecký now leading the way to open the second lap of the race. Vukovic overtaking Adamek, but his Megane really being very nervous under braking. Adamek makes a very wide line through first corner, so he's dropping down the order as well. Oh, another dancey moment for Vukovic as he takes the lead of this race from Řepecký. Amazing fights going on there. So it is now Vukovic leading. Oh, there's a contact between Loshonci and Adamek. Adamek spins and he finds himself in the middle of the track sideways. Fortunately, he was not collected by any of the other drivers. Everybody managed to make evasive action. So Radim Adamek, whoa, his car stays in one piece. There was no crash in the end, just the contact between Adamek and Loshonci. And both of them are now towards the back end of the grid. So very unfortunate for Adamek, having started from pole. He is now last or second to last. And the order keeps changing pretty much corner by corner. So this race is really exciting. Matej Homola making his way up. Also Petr Semerád. These two are teammates. Let's see again what happened there. We only saw the aftermath of the contact. Bartosz Groszek had to swerve violently towards the middle of the track to avoid his boss. And so Vukovic now leads from Řepecký. Steibl is third, Semerád fourth, Matej Homola fifth, Petr Čížek in sixth place, but already having a bit of a gap to the rest of the pack. Petr Semerád making a move down the inside on Sebastian Steibl and his third place. They are still side by side, going downhill into the second corner. Matej Homola watches the battle from behind. Semerád and Steibl still side by side, but now Semerád emerges victorious from this battle, so it's now Homola who's trying to put pressure on Steibl. Not successfully just yet. And through that, Petr Čížek is closing on. Down the inside now goes Matej Homola on Steibl and picks up another position. Steibl is down by 2 since the start of this lap. Joachim Galáš then in 7th from 8th placed Bartosz Groszek. Milovan Vesnic in 9th, Sanel Cehic dropped to 10th, having started on the front row of the grid. Karol Wittke has moved up to 11th. Čarko Kněgo then behind him in 12th. Václav Janík in 13th. Radim Adamek down in 14th. Franjo Kovač and Levente Lošonci then closing up the field. However, Levente Lošonci is in the pits, and Petr Semerád together with Matej Homola are now making way past Tomáš Řepecký in his, let's be honest, a pretty outdated VW Golf. Not very many Golfs still left on the TCR scene these days. So Vukovic, he built himself 1.6 seconds of a gap. Matej Homola attacking his teammate Petr Semerád into the first corner. This is the generation exchange model-wise. It is the outcoming i30 now in front of the upcoming model, the Elantra. Having a beautiful fight there for P2. Being followed by Řepecký, Čížek and Steibl. And Čížek moved up one place as he had overtaken Steibl somewhere. Joachim Galáš still behind them in 7th and Bartosz Groszek in 8th. And we've only done 7 minutes of this race. It already feels like so much has happened, which it has actually. That's how intense the race is, and this is Levente Lošonci. Quick fixes being done to the front right corner of the car. The bumper slightly damaged, as is the front right headlamp. Joachim Galáš having a look on Steibl. Now diving down the inside of the German to the second to last corner, and Galáš goes up to 6th. Čížek now trying to have a look on Řepecký. He was later on the brakes and managed to at least have a look down the inside, but not being close enough just yet. Maťo Homola still within close touch with his teammate Petr Semerád in P2 and P3, as Milenko Vukovic still keeps about 1.5 seconds of the gap. And let's just see the replay of the pass that Joachim Galáš made on Sebastian Steibl. And we are slowly reaching the halfway mark of the race here in Hungary. Semerád still defending brave-heartedly. Maťo Homola having another look. And it seems that Joachim Galáš has picked up another place, if I'm right. Yes, he's just dealt with Petr Čížek. So Joachim Galáš up to 5th. And still drivers that we'd be expecting further up the grid are having a rather low-key race, really. Bartosz Groszek only 8th, having started 10th, so yes, he has moved up 2 places, but that's where he's remained since then. Karol Wittke only 11th, last year's 4th man overall. And you need to take into account that we've already lost Adamek and Lošonci, who were fighting for top positions earlier on. Adamek is still going, Lošonci isn't. Well, Lošonci is as well, but already 2 laps down, 3 laps down. However, we lost them from the podium fights. Sanel Cehic defending his 11th place from Žarko Kněgo. Behind them Václav Janík in the car number 73. And Karel Wittke made his way up in front of Sanel Cehic. So Wittke is now in 10th. And there is a fight between Kněgo and Janík. Nice move by Janík. Opportunistic overtake there. Just as Žarko Kněgo was trying to trouble Sanel Cehic, he left the door open on the inside. And Václav Janík did not need to be invited twice. There is Grošek already up in front of Steibl. So that's 7th for Grošek. Steibl really not managing a good pace here in Hungary, which is a bit surprising because Steibl, he was 5th overall last season. He did not manage to score a single victory, but he was 2nd twice, and he picked up another podium in Poland in Poznań, where he was 3rd in the 2nd race of the weekend. And he had flashes of brilliant pace, nearly clinching a victory, but in the end that slipped through his fingers. And we were expecting him to be really fast this year, which he still might be, but Hungary, not the best of weekends for him. And this is the fight for the race victory. Matej Homola, having started 9th on the grid, he is now already on the rear wing of Milenko Vukovic. That means that Homola must have passed Semerad somewhere. And he is now making his way up the hill. We've just entered the second half of the race, so still plenty of time to go. This pass does not need to be overly aggressive. Homola still has some time to read the line of Vukovic and prepare the pass. Behind them in 4th is already Joachim Galaš, so both Elantras enjoying a really good performance. They didn't really have, let's say, rocket starts. They weren't bad, but not that they would pick up so many places on the start. So it's been mostly the gradual steady work, lap after lap. And both Homola and Galaš have been moving up the order, and they have worked their way into the fight for the outright victory. Vukovic has now cut the chicane. He's still in the lead of the race, and he misjudged his braking into the chicane, so went straight ahead. He stays in front of Homola, which he can do. This is not any sort of lasting advantage. The gap between them is still just as big as it was before that mistake. But Vukovic is having to fight hard, and the remaining 10 minutes are still going to be extremely long for him. Honestly, I'm not really giving here any big chances for him to win the race, but he definitely might surprise. We'll see, but those Elantras seem to be incredibly fast, and Homola putting his car across the curbs already and biting immediately, so side by side they exit the last corner. Vukovic still comes back into the first place, so across the line he was still the leader and remains to be so. But what is Homola going to do down into the first corner? Nothing. He remains very close behind Vukovic, who very nearly lost it under braking there. So they are still remaining very close to one another. Vukovic in the lead. Homola still second. Oh, and there's contact now. It looks like Vukovic was too slow through the corner, slower than Homola was expecting, so there was a little touch from behind, which upset the car of Vukovic, but he managed to collect it back, and he's still in the lead of the race. Homola did not capitalize on that, which I believe is only sporty and correct. He's still going to have plenty of time and plenty of opportunities. 7.5 minutes left on the clock, so it's still going to be really, really hard for Vukovic to hold on to that first place and to that win. Not impossible, but definitely going to be hard. Matej Homola, great experience so far from the World Touring Car scene. Let's see that incident again. Yeah, Vukovic was simply too slow through the corner, and probably Homola did not expect him to slow down that much in the left-hander. So contact was made, but in the end it didn't really have any negative effect on either of them. They are still fighting. Homola dropped back a little, but he's now back with Vukovic together. This was the point of their contact 1 lap ago, and Vukovic choosing a very interesting line through there, closing the door on Homola. 6 minutes left, and Vukovic still somehow holding on to the first place. Petr Semerád already dropped back a bit, and he is now under pressure from Joachim Galáš. That is the intra-team battle. Again, it's not going to be overly aggressive. The most important for the Elantris is to stay in one piece and get tested as much as possible. For Petr Semerád, it's of course very important and very interesting to get as best the result as possible. And Semerád was 4th yesterday. He would definitely love to get on the podium. He was on the podium yesterday, actually, because he was also in the mix for the TCR trophy results. He did make it onto the rostrum, but in the overall results he was 4th yesterday. Matej Homola still being really patient. Maybe even pondering whether he actually needs to fight for the win with Vukovic. As already mentioned, this is much more of a test for the Elantris before they move to European TCR. And Homola has now dropped back a bit again. So Vukovic has a bit more of breathing space now, but he's now really, really slow on the entry to this right-hander. It's even surprising how slow that was. And Homola is immediately right back on his tail. They are now catching up with Vukovic's teammate Franjo Kovač, who is letting everybody through as he's being lapped. That went well. Now Semerád and Galáš need to overtake the Vukovic Motorsport Megane, the one that's a full lap down already. Galáš attacking Semerád, and Semerád having to choose a pretty wide line through the right-hander. They are now side by side, just like Homola is now trying to attack Milenko Vukovic around the outside at the beginning of the 3rd sector. And I would really like to see if Galáš is in front of Semerád already or not. Yes, he is. So Galáš goes through into 3rd. Matej Homola, ooh, that was a weird moment there. Really, really unpredictable behavior of Vukovic on the entry to the corner. So Homola, just to stay safe, he rather exited the track rather than risking a collision. That's also why I believe he does not really want to get in the close contact with the Renault. He's probably much rather going to stay second in this race. He definitely does not need any contact, any collision. So he's going to do everything he can to avoid just that. But if an opportunity comes and is safe enough, I believe Maťo will fight for the win. Bartosz Groszek in the meantime up to 5th. Already past Steibl, Čížek and Řepecký. Vukovic again, pretty slow through this right-hander. Still holding on to the first place. Still not letting anybody through. Homola having another look, and there's contact in the end, so Vukovic goes wide and Homola leads the race. Galáš now tries to go into second. There's very nearly another contact, so it's now both Elantras on the top 2 positions, and it is now Petr Semerád who might try to fight for another podium place, or for the first podium place this season. So try another fight for the podium. That's the better way of saying it. And that was a pretty wild moment there between Homola and Vukovic. Vukovic was in the lead, and Homola simply grew impatient with Vukovic, so he dove down the inside, he made contact with him again, pushed him wide, and into the lead he went. Galáš now in second, so it is a 1-2 for Janík Motorsport, and it could even end up as a 1-2-3 for the Czech team. Petr Semerád now behind Vukovic, who's already starting to lose a piece of bodywork, which is hanging off from the car there on its right-hand side. Left-hand side from our point of view. Oh, and that's a big mistake from Vukovic, who's leaving the door open for Semerád, and Semerád is through. Semerád is third. So this is going to be, in the end, a wipeout by the Janík Motorsport team. 1-2-3 finish is now on hands, is now on the table. Elantra's leading and the I-30 in the third place. Vukovic now down in fourth, so he's probably going to be off the podium and not repeat his success from yesterday, and he is now being quickly caught up by yesterday's winner Bartosz Groszek. We still have 20-something seconds left, which means that this should be the final lap of the race. What can still happen in it? Homola leads, Galáš is second. I don't believe there is going to be any further change in this order. Petr Semerád probably going to stay third. Vukovic is still pretty wild through the corners. Is Bartosz Groszek going to be able to catch up with him or not? He's a pretty far away behind him, but still anything can happen. So Elantra's already moving up the hill. One corner left to both of them. Maťo Homola, he was second yesterday, and today he finally emerges victorious. This is a great test for the new Elantra, which is taking a 1-2 finish here in Hungary with Joachim Galáš second. Petr Semerád with his I-30 is third, which means that Janík Motorsport locks out the complete podium for itself. 1-2-3 finish for the Czech team in this race, and Milenko Vukovic in the end finishes fourth, so just under the rostrum. This is still an interesting fight. Žárko Kněgo try a maneuver on Václav Janík across the line, did manage to do so in the end, and remains behind Janík, but the gap was 86 thousandths of a second. Homola wins race number 2 here in Hungary from Joachim Galáš. Petr Semerád third, Milenko Vukovic fourth, Bartosz Groszek in fifth, Tomáš Řepecký ends up sixth, having also led the race briefly in the beginning. Petr Čížek down in seventh, Karel Wittke in eighth. So a bit of a low-key weekend for Full In Race Academy, and this is again the contact in the fight for the lead. Simply, as they also say in motorsport, if you can't pass him, just Create the way for yourself. Either way, Homola wins from Galáš, Semerad, Vukovic, Grošek 5th, Řepecky 6th, Čížek and Wittke in 7th and 8th, and the top 10 being completed by Sebastian Steibl and Milovan Vesnic. Milovan Vesnic, he was fighting for the top positions yesterday up until second corner where he had contact with Galáš and had to retire. This race was rather low-key for the Serbian. Sanel Čehić in 11th, Václav Janík 12th, Žarko Kněgov 13th, Radim Adamek, having started from pole, finishes 14th, Franjo Kovač in 15th, and Levente Lošonci ended the race in the pit lane, 7 laps behind the leaders. So that was actually an eventful race, another one in the TCR, so exciting season opener. There is definitely still much more to be expected from this racing series. Elantras are going to be out for the rest of the season. They are heading towards the European TCR. But we are in for a great season anyway. Cars are now returning back to the pit lane. Matej Homola and Joachim Galáš, and together with their teammate Petr Semerad, are going to enjoy some champagne on the podium. Successful Sunday program for the Janík Motorsport team. Vukovic 4th, Grošek 5th, Řepecky 6th, then the 2 Cupras of Full-In Race Academy, number 14 Petr Čížek, number 22 Karol Wittke, 7th and 8th, behind them Steibl and Vesnic, as is now also shown in the graphics. So this was a beautiful, great season opener, and we will be back with TCR in 2 months' time when we are going to race in Austria.